The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Hello and welcome to round 3 of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at the baking Spa Francorchamps where all the GT and touring car classes are combined, making for a grid of over 60 cars, from the most powerful Super GTs down to the sports class. We'll take a look at the highlights of Sunday's race, but first here's what happened in Saturday's encounter. There was the extra challenge for the fastest 30 cars of setting a good time in qualifying, with the slower cars in the other divisions also on track. Leaving his bad luck from the Nürburgring behind him, it was the Swedish liveried Volvo of Henry Zumbrink who set pole for both races. The Davitech engineering team have solved their problems, it would seem. Next to him on the front row, the RaceArt SRT Viper GT3R. It's the only one in Europe and they're eager to score more points after their win and second place last time out in Germany. As the cars start their warm-up lap for race 1, Paul Bailey's Aston Martin Vantage is struggling to get going, but there's worse for Kelvin Snooks. He was supposed to start 4th. His engine was damaged during qualifying and he's not ready to take the first start of the weekend. Problems too for Henk Tace. His V8-powered Radical RXC has pushed off the grid despite winning in the Nürburgring. It's all over here at Spa Francorchamps before race 1 gets underway. Rolling up for the start then, we're on board with Bob Herbert in 5th position. Right in front is Paul Bailey's Aston Martin. All good start from Herber as well as the lights change, really on the boil with the Ferrari. He's through, he's chasing the leaders. Heavy braking down into La Source. Around the outside, Arjen van der Zwaan in the SRT Viper leaves him behind. So we're up into second place already. And there goes Henry Zumbrink's Volvo, speeding down the hill into Eau Rouge for the very first time. Oh, full tank's got to have a little lift there and control it, not going too far to the left. That'll incur a penalty. Up the Kemmel straight. And look, the Volvo is pulling away and right behind, here comes the Viper. This is where horsepower counts like nowhere else, perhaps in racing. And straight by goes the Viper. The Ferrari has to get on the brakes a fraction earlier at Les Combes and gives up second place on the outside line. Well, that's the order early on in the race, with the Viper looking even quicker than our race leader Henry Zumbrink, but he's soon back in the pit lane. A water pump belt has snapped, it seems, and by the time he gets into the pits, the engine's run at over 200 degrees. Race 1 is over, but has it cooked their weekend as well as broken the belt?
Nou, we gaan straks als de motor afgekoeld is, gaan we kijken, compressie kijken.
When the engine's cooled off, says Arjen, we're going to measure the compression, see if it's still okay. If so, then hopefully we'll be ready for race 2, as long as it's okay. But if the engine's dead, it's definitely over for the weekend. We don't have a spare engine, so everything crossed, we're hoping it'll work. Well, unfortunately, the engine is scrapped. They'll have to enter race 2 in a different car. Henry Zumbrink, meanwhile, takes race 1 victory half a second ahead of Louis Machels in the F Corsa Ferrari. He also takes second in the championship. Spa's such an amazing track to race at, says Henry. I never managed to win here in my GT4 Supercar Challenge seasons. In race 1, everything went according to plan. I got pole, almost a second ahead of the second guy. Won the race. Turned out to be quite a close call in the end, but it was a great race. So success for Henry Zumbrink's Volvo, but for the winner of the last Super GT race at the Nürburgring, Kelvin Snooks, no such fortune. His engine died in qualifying. He wasn't able to find a replacement car for race 1. So for race 2, he's in the DKR Engineering BMW Z4. He's not even driven a lap in this car. His season is getting tougher and tougher. Is this disaster in the making, or will he show his true racing skills? They're having to teach him how the instruments work and the steering wheel controls as well. In addition, because he's in a different car, he'll start 12th on the grid. Well, lots of engine problems at Spa. The Cora V8 of Bohas and Weinen and Masson, both out with broken engines. Rennie Weinen starting in a Seat Leon Super Copa. Not the best choice among the powerful Super GT cars, so he decides he's going to leave the grid and start from the pit lane. High temperatures, high humidity, 28 degrees air temperature, 41 degrees track temperature. It's an hour-long race around the 7-kilometre track, and it's going to be highly punishing for the drivers. Henry Zumbrink on pole from Nick Homerson. Behind the Ferrari, Rennie Vineland in a Seat Leon. He heads into the pits to avoid the carnage. And that means that 5th place Bob Herber has got a gap in front. Will he make another exceptional getaway? Yes, he does. Look at that. Really gets the hammer down fast. Sundbrink under pressure from 2 Ferraris now. The black car, Nick Homerson, that was 2nd in race 1. And Bob Herber on the inside. Great exit from him. And looking 4th, the white nose. That is the Lamborghini of Peter Dubois, the GT leader now. He's up to 4th place. Down the hill into Eau Rouge for the first time. Hear the splitters chattering on the ground as they power through and up the Kemmel Straight. What a majestic sight, this massive field of cars. Up the Kemmel Straight, slipstreaming the leader with Bob Herber. Sundbrink going a little defensive, but he doesn't think the Ferrari's close enough, and he's right at Les Combes. Oh, no, he's not. He gets in too deep, and Herber almost grabs the lead. Right behind him there is Nick Homerson. 4th place, still the Lamborghini, but that's under pressure from Paul Bailey's Aston Martin now. Into Bruxelles, it's Sundbrink, then Herber and Homerson, then Dubois and Bailey. There's the black car of Kelvin Snooks. Henk Tees in the GT car right behind. Mark Nyens leads GTB in his Porsche. Coroy's a super sport leader in the Lotus Evora, and Erwin van Dijk leads the sport class. Well, this is where Henry Sundbrink nearly lost the lead on lap 1. Too hot into Les Combes, and Bob Herber just couldn't quite squeeze around. Now Sundbrink easing away. Herber defending 2nd from Nick Homerson in the black Ferrari. And the battle behind rages up to the bus stop as well. It's going to be very close. Paul Bailey's Aston Martin just in front of GT leader Pierre Dubois in the Lamborghini. Then both BMWs, Kelvin Snooks the black one and Niels Bohaus up to Les Combes. There's the black BMW. Snooks looking to go around the inside line into Les Combes. He gets by the Lamborghini, and that makes him 5th place overall now. Well, maybe he ought to try cars he's never driven before. Look, straight out, down in the inside line, into Rivage, Bruxelles as it's known now, and he goes by Paul Bailey for 4th place. And that's where he'll remain, right up to the mandatory stop halfway through the race. Overshoots a little, that delays him. Then the strict refueling rules, only fuel going in, and you have to do any other work apart from that separately. He's got less results 2nd than the leading trio, and he will end up in front of Louis Machiels in the black Ferrari, chasing Martin Lanting for 2nd place. So here we go. Oh, Machiels comes around the BMW. Well, he didn't get the drive there, did he? Lanting gets away in front. Battle for 3rd place then. Snooks on the inside line. Louis Machiels trying to work a way round in the Ferrari. Running down the hill towards Eau Rouge. The Ferrari's got great traction off the corner. Kelvin Snooks just with a little overlap. Oh, this is going to be brave indeed. Snooks keeps his nose in front. Does he stay clean on the exit? He does. And so too does our camera car. Snooks now down into Rivage. Herber goes defensive. This is for 2nd place. Henry Sundbrink still leading in the Volvo that won race 1. But Kelvin Snooks all over Bob Herber. He's going to go the long way around the outside speaker's corner. Ooh, kicked up the dirt. All 4 wheels off track. Might give him a penalty, especially as he picked up a place there. He's not the only one running wide. The Seat of Niels Bohaus also gets a warning from the stewards.
Ja, Ferrari veel meer topsnelheid.
The Ferrari had much better top speed, said Kelvin. That makes it really hard to overtake here at Spa. He was driving really well too, defending at every chance I got to go by, so I tried everything. In Bruxelles, I had a really great exit, had more speed out of the corner. It was a bit do or die in the next corner. I really wanted to get by. It worked out though, so I got 2nd from him. Andy Schultz's weekend started with engine worries in the Aston, ended with a fine pass at the bus stop to take 4th away from Louis Machiels, as Henry Sundbrink ran off to win the 2nd of the weekend, 30 seconds clear of Kelvin Snooks. And the battle for 3rd coming down to a dramatic last corner in the bus stop. The Aston Martin of Andy Schultz bumps up the inside of Martin Lanting, squeezes him out of 3rd place just as Jan Verslijs did last year. Dramatic stuff.
Yeah, I think it was a fair move initially, and obviously, you know, around the outside into the chicane was good, into the bus stop. And as we ran up the bus stop, I gave him lots of room on the outside. But of course, as we go to turn in, we're both outbrake ourselves really, and can't get it turned in, so it's very difficult there. So there's a little bit of contact, but I went down and shook his hand and said, look, it wasn't intentional, so it's just a difficult place to try and get through, you know. So things happen, and I think he's okay with it. It's very difficult to lose third place on the last corner of the last lap. It's very frustrating. I've been there. And yeah, it just happens sometimes. Yeah.
And the stewards saw no reason to change the result. So the Aston stayed third, the BMW of Snooks in second, but our happy winner for the second time, Henry Sundbrink. It's absolutely fantastic, said Henry. Yesterday at the start it was a bit off, they stayed close to me, but today I managed to open a gap, built on my lead, but near the end it got a lot harder. I had a good lead, but the tyres were shot. The heat here has been astonishing. The tyres were really sliding, lost all their grip, so it was pretty intense at the end. 2 poles, 2 wins, the perfect weekend for Henry Sundbrink, the new championship leader. Kelvin Snooks in a borrowed car, second place. Third and fourth in the championship, though, had trouble with the cars that they borrowed, finishing at the back, but enough to keep themselves still in the title race. In the GT class, Craig Wilkins had the beating of the 458 Ferrari of Patrick van der Glabaeke at the start, but Frederik Jonckere overhauled Aaron Scott to claim victory in the second stint. Well, we've now got 2 minutes 20 stationary in the pit lane, result seconds. He said there's a lot of work to do after the pit stops, but that'll make it more exciting, more competitive, and we'll be pushing hard as always. Well, GT pole sitter for race 2, Patrick van Glabaeke, starts from the outside of row 3 on the full grid. Peter Dubois doing the first stint on the inside of row 4, Craig Wilkins inside row 5. Well, we're with Peter Dubois in the Lamborghini Gallardo. Right in front of us, Bob Herber's Ferrari. And away we go. On the right hand side, the blue car. Now on the left of your picture, that's the race leader. But look at the Lamborghini, the white nose, blue car up the inside. At La Source, he's in 4th place. Bob Herber goes through into 2nd. Well, that's a great start from Peter Dubois in the Lamborghini Gallardo. Down into Eau Rouge. Oh, so fast. And even these cars lose speed on the way up the hill. It's so steep out of Rédillon. Battling with the cars in Super GT, this the red Aston Martin of Paul Bailey and Andy Schultz, and comfortably leading the GT class until this moment at La Source, the hairpin, where he loops it round and gives away the lead of the class.
Ja, het ging van de ene kant ging het heel goed.
Well, everything was going great, but I was pushing too hard, I think, really degrading the tyres, asking too much of myself maybe. I took a few too many risks keeping up with the cars in front, spun at La Source, and we lost around a minute, and that's a bit of a shame. Well, back to lap 1, Craig Wilkins getting a great run out of Eau Rouge, overhauling Patrick van Glabaeke for 2nd place. But as they get into the braking area at Les Combes, you can see how hard Wilkins is pushing, leaves dark stripes on the road under braking and under acceleration, and that is not going to be great for tyre life on the Viper. Craig Wilkins hands over the leading car to Aaron Scott, and Frederik Jonckere, doing the 2nd stint in the Ferrari, finally runs them down and will take victory in race 2. A problematic weekend for Henk Thijs in the Radical, again failing to finish here, but guest driver Philip Daniels shows the car can be quick and reliable in 3rd spot. The 4th win for Patrick van Glabaeke and Frederik Jonckere means that they now extend their championship lead to 16 points ahead of Craig Wilkins and Aaron Scott in the Viper. And despite not even being at the first round in Zandvoort, Dubois and Verstraete are moving up the rankings fast. GTB Championship leader Dan Meyer had to start from the back of the grid after electrical problems in qualifying. With 16 cars in the class, Corvette drivers Ferdinand Kool and Max Kubelt won their 2nd race of the season in front of Meyer, but could they repeat that for race 2 as well?
Ja, het is voor mij wat benauwder.
Well, it's much more humid, says Ferdinand. It's going to be quite tough, and we've got 25 more result seconds than our rivals, so I'll have to push really hard from the beginning, but we're still aiming to get on the podium. Just like in race 1, Mark Nyens in the black and white Porsche takes the lead in race 2. Ferdinand Kool 2nd in the Corvette. Marcel Berlo and Dan Meyer's Porsches giving chase. Dan Meyer, the leader in the GTB Championship, grabs 3rd place halfway to the pit stop window from Marcel van Berlo, demoting his fellow Porsche driver down to 4th. Ferdinand Kool closes the gap on Mark Nyens for the lead, but he's unable to get by, and he knows that they've got major result seconds in the pit stops that aren't going to help. 16-year-old Max Cobalt takes over the Davies-Tech engineering team, though cool, calm and collected. And as he leaves, that is the key to their success. EMG Motorsports send out Patrick Lamster, taking over from Mark Nyans too late. Cobalt up to speed, easily passes Lamster. The team go on to win race 2, their 3rd victory of the season. Well, they had tough luck in Zandvoort race 2 with electrical failure, race 2 in the Nürburgring with a loose wheel bolt, but now they've got a maximum points weekend. Victory in both races at Spa.
Ja, ik moest wel nog flink aanpoten naar de pitstop.
Wasn't easy, says Max. I really had to push hard. We weren't leading before or after the pit stop, so I had to hunt down the leader. Straight after the pit, so I gave it everything. That turned out to be the successful strategy. Their double race winning weekend also give the Corvette duo the lead in the GTB standings. Next time out there at Zolder, where their Corvette should also benefit from its torque out of the slower corners. Stay with us here in Spa. The Supersport and Sport divisions are up next. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes. Welcome back to the 3rd round of the Supercar Challenge powered by Pirelli. We're at Spa Francorchamps in Belgium with 60 cars on the grid. Before the break we caught up with the GTs, now it's time for the Supersport and Sport classes. In Supersport, Coroyes are against the odds, won his 4th race in a row in front of a bunch of BMW drivers in race 1. The result second seemingly having no effect on the legend. Into Sunday's 2nd race, steaming down the hill into Bruxelles, or Rivage as it used to be called for the first time. And the white pole-sitting BMW of Jan Stackenberg already dropped behind in the middle of the picture. There's the black and gold Lotus. Coroyes has the lead. Stackenberg goes through there. 3rd in class with the pink highlights. The white BMW there. And that is Koen Bogaerts. On board now with Eric Vick. Tristan Boersma right in front of us. This is for 4th place. There are yellow flags out at the bus stop. Steve van Bellingen has spun his GTB car. And he positions himself alongside. And then as we go green, he goes through. He takes 4th place. Coroyes, Jan Stackenberg, Koen Bogaerts, the top 3. And we're with our 3rd place man out of La Source. Right in front, Jan Stackenberg in the white BMW. Down into Eau Rouge. Got to get the exit right here. And in the left-hander, oh, and look at that. He's really closing fast in Redillon. He has to almost cut the corner to avoid running into the back of Stackenberg and goes right by him for 2nd place. Well, a fantastic mix of cars from all the different classes here at Spa. Michael Verhagen in his BMW 1 Series started 10th, now up to 6th place, attacking for 4th down the inside at the bus stop. He's already passed Tristan Boersma behind us, little bumping and boring there, but he gets by Eric Vick all the same. 2nd place, Koen Bogaerts, now closing in on our race leader. Coroyes are in front. Oise with 4 consecutive wins. The Bogaerts running down the Lotus. Lotus not with the power, and that's going to really tell up the hill here. Coroyes gets a great exit out of Redillon, but still Koen Bogaerts is coming. Now he's in the slipstream, shifts up another gear, and here we go. Pulls out, he's going to look to the inside. Oise stays on the racing line to try and control his braking with his maximum grip. Up the inside comes Bogaerts. It's a classic lunge down the inside at Les Combes, and he just about holds it together. He has the lead of the race. Pushing on hard down into Rivage. He makes a mistake, gives it away. Coroyes slips back in front, but with Oise's massive tally of results seconds, that's going to allow the BMW to leapfrog him during the pit stops as Mark van der Aar takes the lead after the stops. And that leaves Oise battling for 2nd place with Dennis de Groot. As we saw in round 2 of the Nürburgring, the two nailed together, but Oise just stays in front. But Oise's winning streak is broken after winning race 1 in Zandvoort. Koen Bogaerts and Mark van der Aar take race 2 in Spa, 40 seconds ahead of the Lotus driver. After a puncture on Saturday, that's a good result for them.
Eigenlijk konden we voor de pitstops al aanvallen, want we hebben een setup verbetering gedaan aan de voorkant. Veel ondersturing.
We're able to attack for the lead in the first stint. We got a better setup on the front. It really paid off. We had massive understeer at the Nürburgring yesterday as well here. We tried wider front tyres and the car handles great now. Quite easy to overtake Stackenberg at What's the name of the straight here at Spa? Exactly right. And then I could stay close to court. He had 60 results seconds, so Mark could finish the job with no problems. Koolhuizen's 5th podium then, 4 wins and a 2nd place, but still not leading the rankings because of the 0 he scored in race 1 at Zandvoort with electrical problems. He's a point behind Dennis de Groot. In the sport class, Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein win their first race of the season on Saturday, just ahead of Eric van Dijk, leader of the sport division and the pole sitter for race 2. So right behind the pole sitter, we're looking back. There's Rob Neiman, and behind him, Teun Rutger. And in front now, there is the orange Lotus of Erwin van Dijk. De Borst racing him down to the hairpin at La Source. De Borst keeping his Clio ahead of the twin cars of Rob Neiman and Teun Rutgers. Can't quite get onto terms with the Lotus though. Starting from the back after failing to qualify, Nicolas van Dierendonck in his Porsche Cayman, white car with the red stripe, there he is. 6-cylinder power against the 4 cylinders of most of the other cars in the class, and he is working his way up the order fast. There's the orange Lotus of our race leader. 3rd car through, that is Dennis de Borst, and the Porsche is already up to 3rd position ahead of Neiman and Rutgers by lap 2. Making inroads now up to 2nd place by the top of the Kemmel Straight. The Clio drivers battling as Wesley Carranza's BMW 1 Series splits the pair. The battle for the lead is shaping up nicely. Van Dijk from pole still in front, but Nicolas van Dierendonck closing fast in the Porsche. And he knows all he has to do is sit behind him until the pit stops. Van Dijk will spend much longer at rest because of his result seconds, but the newcomers to the championship, no such dramas. And that hands his teammate Manu van der Rijse a great opportunity, which he seizes with both hands. And the newcomers win race 2 in Spa. Well, a successful first weekend in the Supercar Challenge for the Porsche Cayman drivers, Nicolas van Dierendonck and Manu van der Rijse, winning from Erwin van Dijk. And they used their strategical advantage exceptionally well. They could be a force to reckon with in the future. For the moment though, they're not championship contenders. Erwin van Dijk moves up 2 spots to take the lead of Supersport. Dennis de Borst and Martin de Klein moving up 2 as well, as Rob Neiman drops 1 to 3rd. And that's it for Spa. Next time out, we stay in Belgium as we head to Zolder with separate races for GT, Sport and Lights divisions. The Supercar Challenge is powered by Pirelli, Syntex Innovative Lubricants, Autosportinsurance.com, Spa05.com and Fitzner Performance Gearboxes.